The meeting of the North Ohio Regional Sewer District Board of Trustees meeting for May 19th, 2022. We have roll call, please.
Ms. Chambers?
Present.
Mayor Lai?
Here.
President Brown? Mr. Sulik?
Present.
Mayor DeGeeter, present. Mayor Bocci?
Present.
And Ms. Dumas?
Here.
We have four.
Okay. First on our agenda, we have the approval of the minutes of the May 5th meeting.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Vice President.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Bocci, seconded by Ms. Dumas. Without objection, the minutes are approved. I'd ask our CEO if anybody in the audience have asked to speak to the board on any of the topics on the agenda.
They have not, Mr. Sulik.
Okay, then we will go to your report.
Thank you, Mr. Sulik, and members of the board. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Beginning with COVID-19, we have 2 active cases among district employees and 4 employees with COVID-like symptoms. So this brings us to 215 confirmed positive cases since the beginning of the pandemic, with 213 folks recovered and returned to work. On Tuesday, May 10th, Constance Hock, our Chief Administrative Officer, Devonna Marshall, our Director of Engineering and Construction, Tiffany Jordan, Manager of Contract Compliance, and Jacqueline Muhammad, our Senior Manager of Government and Customer Relations, presented at the Greater Cleveland Partnership's Construction, Utilities, Building, and Equity Initiative. This event focused on the state of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the construction industry in Northeast Ohio, specifically as it related to minority business inclusion and workforce inclusion. Our team participated in a panel titled Strategies on Advancing Equitable Outcomes, and we were asked to talk about our major building projects and how we leverage our equity-driven strategies. So Constance and the team talked about our capital improvement program, Project Clean Lake, our business opportunity program, and our Good Neighbor Ambassador program, and it was very well received by the audience, which included municipal folks, construction company owners, minority business owners, and then our government partners in terms of CMHA and ODOT. So this was a great event, and we were on a panel with the Cavs, and really no one asked them any questions. It was mainly our team that did a great job. So that was terrific, and then on Wednesday, May 11th, we held another one of our outreach events, and this was for the Chippewa Creek Flood Reduction near Echo Lane project in Broadview Heights and North Royalton. This project is going to retrofit a basin, upsize and replace some culverted streams, and restore an open channel to protect floodplain access and storage. And then Broadview Heights is also doing a project on the local stormwater system to further reduce flooding. And there's about 300 parcels that are impacted that are in the immediate neighborhood. So this event had a great turnout. There were 75 residents over 2 shifts over 5 hours. And this followed that direct approach in terms of advertising to the community that we also did for the Hemlock Creek project in Seven Hills. So we had great participation from the watershed staff and also customer service folks that were able to talk directly to residents about the project. And then finally, I'm happy to announce that we have been awarded the Gold designation from the League of American Bicyclists as a bicycle-friendly business. The award recognizes our efforts to be bike-friendly as a workplace for both our employees and our visitors. And this includes enhancements to our bike infrastructure. We have a fix-it station outside. I don't know exactly. I think it's over there. Where is it, Ken? Over there. So if you get a flat tire, you can fix it at the sewer district. And then we also have bike racks at all of our facilities for folks. So this is a 5-year designation, and we will proudly display that at all of our facilities.
Do you have many employees that bike to work?
We do actually have some folks that bike consistently through all weather, which I always find very impressive. So,
Okay, very good.
thank you, Mr. Sulik.
Any questions for the CEO? If not, we'll move on to our action items. First is the authorization to advertise. Authorization to public notice calling for bids in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 6119.10 for a 3-month requirement contract for the Eastland Holland Odor Control Facility Stone and Media Replacement Project with an anticipated expenditure of $150,000. Next is authorization to public notice calling for bids in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 6119.10 for the Stafford Basin Inlet Modifications Project with an anticipated expenditure of $331,854. Next is authorization to publish notice calling for bids in accordance with Ohio Revised Code 6119.10 for the Southerly Chemically Enhanced High-Rate Treatment Upgrades Project with an anticipated expenditure of $10,900,000. And last, authorization to publish notice calling for bids in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 6119.10 for district-wide roof improvements, Phase 2 project with an anticipated expenditure of $2,300,000.
Move for adoptions of resolutions 163 through 16622.
Moved by Mayor Alai,
Second.
second by Ms. Chambers. On 165 and 16622, if we could have a brief explanation on what we're doing on those then, and what roofs are being covered, and will there be another phase yet?
Mr. Solik, members of the board, regarding the first project, which is 16522, the Southerly Enhanced Series Treatment Improvement Project. So under this project, we're increasing the capacity of the chemically enhanced high-rate treatment process at the Southerly plant that takes place within primary tanks 11 through 14. So we're increasing that capacity from 125 MGD to 255 MGD. And this is actually part of our recent modification of the consent decree of Control Measure 5. With this modification, we no longer had to build the more expensive parallel treatment. Instead, we're increasing the overall secondary capacity from 400 to 480 MGD. And then this portion, which is covered under this project, is increasing the CHRT from the 125 to 255 MGD. The overall capital savings is estimated at $50 million.
Okay, very good.
So the next resolution is for the district-wide roof improvements. This is Phase 2. So back in 2018, we did do a full assessment of all the roofs across the district. So this is obviously the second of the contracts that we are letting. The first one is finishing up as we speak. So this is the second one. We do have a few other ones in our 10-year CIP that are planned. So under this one specifically, we're addressing 9 roofs across 3 of our plants. We actually pulled 4 additional ones out of this contract and actually added it to the Phase 1 contract. If you recall, back in December, we made a decision to pull those more critical roofs out and do it as a modification to the existing contract just due to the long lead times on the roofing materials. And so this is then the remaining portion of the Phase 2 contract that covers the 9 remaining roofs. And to account for the longer lead times that still remain, the duration of this contract is a little longer than you normally would see.
Okay. Have we had any with the contractors as far as getting materials and being able to do the jobs?
So in general, or in roofing, in both cases, there are concerns. We continue to have discussions with our contractors on the concern over escalation. Currently, as our contracts are written, we do not pay for escalation, either increase or decreasing. But more recently, we are seeing some potential claims coming in on projects as it relates to escalation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, resolution is passed.
Resolutions 163 through 166-22.
Next, we have an authorization to purchase. Authorization to purchase 1 sewer jet vacuum truck through the State of Ohio Cooperative Purchasing Program for routine maintenance conducted by the sewer system maintenance and operations staff in the amount not to exceed $535,000.
Make that motion.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Bocci, seconded by Ms. Dumas. Any questions? The resolution passes.
Resolution 167-22.
Next, we have authorization to enter into contracts. Authorization to enter into a construction contract with Tuscan Inc. for the Pepper Loose Creek Culvert Replacement Rehabilitation at Gate Mills Boulevard project in the amount not to exceed $2,058,367. Next, we have authorization to enter into a construction contract with Mart Hayes Construction for the Pica Lake dredging project, the amount not to exceed $640,540.
Move to adopt 168 and 169-22.
Moved by Ms. Dumas,
Second.
second by Ms. Chambers. Any questions? If not, they're approved.
Resolutions 168 and 169-22.
Next, we have property-related transactions. We will do 170-22 separate from the others. And we'll need a roll call on that then. Authorization to extinguish and release 8 district-owned permanent easements at the property known as personal property number 522-25020, located on East 71st Street in the Village of Cuyahoga Heights and owned by the Village of Cuyahoga Heights, which are no longer necessary for this abandoned portion of the Mill Creek Interceptor nor other district purposes. Approval?
Move for adoption of 170-22.
Second.
Mayor Lai, seconded by Ms. Dumas. And we need a roll call on that?
Mayor Alaj,
Yes.
Mr. Sulik,
Yes.
Mayor DeGeter, yes. Mayor Bocci,
Abstain?
Ms. Dumas,
Yes.
Ms. Chambers.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next is authorization to acquire 1 permanent stormwater easement and 1 temporary easement at a property known as permanent parcel number 783-09045, located on Watercrest Avenue in the city of Maple Heights, owned by the city of Maple Heights, necessary for the construction and maintenance of the Stafford Basin Inlet Modifications Project, with a total consideration of $1. Next, we have authorization to acquire 1 parcel in fee simple known as permanent parcel number 456-12001, located on Del Haven Drive in the city of Parma, owned by Gregory J. Urosco and Marjorie J. Urosco, necessary for the construction and maintenance of the BDPA 06 York Pleasant Valley project, and to allow for the entirety of the payment to be dispersed to Northstar Title Services, LLC, with total consideration of $105,000 plus closing costs. Next, we have authorization to acquire 1 permanent stormwater easement on the property known as permanent parcel number 454-31021, located at 5940 Kelly Lane in the city of Parma, owned by Thomas J. Kolba and Patricia L. Kolba, necessary for the construction and maintenance of the Big Creek Stream Restoration upstream and downstream of Ridge Road in Parma project, with total consideration $14,620. And finally, authorization to acquire 1 permanent stormwater easement and 3 temporary easements at the property known as personal property number 531-23019 and 531-22065, located on West Resource Drive in the village of Brooklyn Heights, owned by 6 Point Investments, LLC, necessary for the construction and maintenance of the West Creek Stabilization in Brooklyn Heights project, with a total consideration of $126,600.
Move for the adoption of Resolution 170, the 174-22.
Moved by Ms. Chambers,
I'm sorry, 171.
171.
Yeah, 171 to 174-22.
Okay. Moved by Ms. Chambers,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Dumas. Without objection, the resolutions pass.
Resolutions 171 through 174-22.
Next, we have a hearing officer findings and recommendations. Adopting the findings of the hearing officer with regard to the stormwater account of the Opal Industrial Group, Inc., Sewer District Hearing 21005, that no further adjustments to the account are necessary.
To adopt.
Second?
Moved by Ms. Dumas, seconded by Mayor Bocci. Without objection, the resolution passes.
Resolution 175-22.
And we have an authorization to assign agreement. authorization to assign professional service agreement number 21003138 for software licenses, hosting services, maintenance, and support of the Cherwell Information Technology Service Management System with Cherwell Software LLC to Ivanti Inc., with all current terms and conditions of the agreement to remain unchanged during the assignment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Bocci, seconded by Ms. Chambers. Without objection, the resolution passes.
Resolution 176-32.
Okay, that concludes our action items. I believe we have a information item. Ivana, no pass.
Mr. Greenland asked me to speed it up too, so you know. Good afternoon, Mr. Sulik, members of the board.
Good afternoon.
This is the monthly update on the capital improvement program for April 2022. So in addition to my update on cash flow and the project level KPIs, I am going to be highlighting the Wesley Storage Tunnel as it relates to our active construction projects. So looking first at cash flow, we ended the month of April at 78% of plan. So this is up from March where we closed out at 68%. So as we enter into the heavy construction season, you can see we're on the right path as it relates to our cash flow and our ultimate goal of delivering at least 85% of the plan. In regards to actual dollars paid out, we paid out approximately $21 million in the month of April, and year to date we're tracking at $62 million. So moving on to our key performance indicators, we had 2 projects that we completed the design of in the month of April, both of those within 60 days of plan, and both of those were on the agenda today for authorization to advertise for construction. That's the Southerly Chemically Enhanced High Rate Treatment Upgrades and the District-Wide Roof Improvements Phase 2 contract. From a construction level, we closed the Eastley Aeration Tank Rehabilitation Improvements. The final contract amount came in at $9.7 million for construction, and that was within 95% of the original contract amount meeting the KPI. And then we also met our KPI and the Business Opportunity Program goals. The district goals were set at 12% MBE WBE and 6% SBE, and the projected actual are 16.99% MBE WBE and 6.77% SBE. Looking at the work orders by change categories as a percent of construction, those came in at 5.72% of the total amount, which equates to $555,000. And the large majority of that fell to the categories of owner requested changes and differing or unforeseen site conditions. So with that, I'll move on to construction highlights, which again is the Wesley Storage Tunnel. So the Wesley Storage Tunnel is part of our CSO consent decree. It is specifically part of Control Measure 14. With this tunnel, we'll be controlling 285 million gallons of annual CSO from 2 outfalls, both tributary to the Cuyahoga River, including one of our largest, which is CSO 080, which is also known as the Walworth Run Culvert. The tunnel will be dewatered by the Wesley Tunnel Dewatering Pump Station. The pump station is being constructed under a separate contract. The pump station will dewater the tunnel to the Wesley Interceptor to the Wesley plant for full treatment. So the Wesley Storage Tunnel is a $135 million construction contract. It includes 9,600 linear feet of 25-foot diameter storage tunnel. The purple line shown there on the screen is the alignment of that tunnel. Starting at the most upstream end where you see that star, that is the main mining site of the tunnel, also known as WST3. At this location, we are picking up flows from that CSO 080 through a large diversion gate structure into the shaft there. If you move upstream, the next location is WST2. That's where we're picking up flows from CSO 074. Again, we'll have a shaft drop there as well as a gate structure. And then finally, we end at the site of WST1, which is also the home of the pump station that is currently under construction. In total, this tunnel will provide 36 million gallons of storage capacity. So in regards to actual progress, the completed work includes the full tunnel mining and lining. This was a one-pass effort. As we mine, we also line right behind it. We've also completed all the efforts at the WST1 site, handing that site off to the tunnel dewatering pump station contractor for their efforts. So under this project, we actually constructed the shaft, lined the shaft, and then turned it over to that contractor. We've also completed the work at the WST2 site, including the enhanced site restoration, which is shown there on the photo. And then also of note is that we completed the installation of a support system within the starter tunnel, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in some future slides. In regards to ongoing work, we are in the process of doing the final lining of that starter tunnel, and then we're also working on the large gate structure at that WST3 site. This project is anticipated to achieve substantial completion in October of 2022. So I'm going to focus on the WST3 site because this is where all the work remains. So this is a very recent aerial photo of the site. So I want to thank Ron Michael and the WQIS drone team for going out last week and flying it and taking some really cool shots. And Rick Vincent, the E&C staff, for coordinate that on my behalf. So again, this is the WST3 main mining site. It's located at Scranton and University Roads right there on the banks of the Cuyahoga. And this is also a location where we discharge directly from that Walworth Run culvert. So zooming in a little bit closer, looking at the figure there, just to give you an idea of what's on site. So this is where the existing Walworth Run culvert, again, discharges to the Cuyahoga River. It's shown there in that pinkish red color. This is where we'll be diverting flows from that culvert into the tunnel system. So in yellow, that's the large diversion gate structure that is being constructed. We also have the baffle drop. When finished, the finished diameter of that shaft is about 45 feet in diameter. At its largest, it was 50 feet in diameter when we were excavating it. And then it will drop into that shaft location into the Wesley storage tunnel. And I mean, if you can see, I tried to line it up so it matches up with the actual photo. So really cool photo. It gives you some perspective of how large some of these systems are. So also, I'd mentioned it drops into the shaft. This is a baffle design. So the flows will go through that gate structure. We have two gates within that gate structure. They're both 82 inches wide by 72 inches in height. Those flows will be controlled by those gates, again, into this drop shaft where the flows will drop about 160 feet down into the tunnel. The baffle design allows us to dissipate some of that energy into the tunnel as the flows come in. The shaft itself is actually split in half here. The one half is where the flows come in. The other half is for purposes of access for O&M staff. So with that, just some photos of the construction that occurred on that site and continues to occur on that site. So this, again, this is where we're picking up the flows from the Walworth Run culvert. The photo there on the left shows the support of earth excavation that went on to stabilize it, and then us breaking into the culvert itself. It's 16.5 feet in diameter. And then the picture on the right there shows the flume that was put in place, because obviously during construction we have to continue to allow the flow to go out the CSO before we're able to finish everything here and actually make the connection to the tunnel. And then this is moving from that pickup where we're diverting the flows from the culvert into the gate and diversion structure. So the photo up there in the left top, again, you're looking down at that fluming of the Walworth Run culvert, and then again, the supportive earth that was put in to excavate the large gate structure. And then if you look below that, the excavation is completed. We started to install the structural steel before pouring the concrete of that final facility there. And if you look in the background, you can see the large diameter shaft for where the flows will be sent to and dropped in that 160 feet. And then the large photo here is then after the concrete has been poured and as the contractor is working on doing the work platforms within that diversion and gate structure. And if you look in the back of the photo, right where you see the railing of the second platform, those are the two gate structures down there. The flow will drop into that shaft. And then finally, I'd mentioned the starter tunnel. So with this is a hard rock excavation, so we're in hard rock soils compared to soft ground. So with that, we're able to put the tunnel boring machine within the tunnel and launch it from this, what we call the starter tunnel. So the starter tunnel itself isn't excavated with the TBN. With the TBN machine, we excavate it with more other mechanical means of excavation. And then after the tunnel is launched, and does its mining activity. We also use this site for staging and other things during the actual construction process. So it's usually one of the last things we come back in line. In the first photo there, you can see that that's a 20-foot diameter tunnel. So that's fully lined, that's all complete. So if you move over to the second tunnel, before we had the opportunity to go in and do the final lining within that starter tunnel, oh, by the way, it's about 200 feet in length. Sorry, I didn't mention that. We had a fallout within that tunnel. The good thing, no one was in there when it happened. So that's the best story there. The bad news is that we had to go in and stabilize it before we allowed anyone to go back into it. So we worked closely with the design consultant on this to design a way to stabilize this tunnel safely. And so what you see on the bottom is the result of that. We basically worked with the designer to come up with this. We had it fabricated, and the contractor obviously installed it. 52 ribs in total were installed. It looks really pretty there. I wish I said we left it that way, but now that that's in, the contractor is actually working on putting in the final concrete lining. Those ribs will stay in place, will be encased within that concrete lining. As we speak, the concrete lining is about 70% complete.
Good.
And before I end it, I also want to thank one other person, Steve Janosko of the engineering team, who helped put some of those figures together that I showed. So thank you to Steve as well.
Very good explanation, Yvonne. Very good presentation of that whole project going on so far. And looking forward to it being done pretty much by October or so.
Us too.
So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you. Okay. That concludes our information items. Anything under open session? Mayor DeGeeter?
Thank you. I just want to thank, I'm having a senior moment, Matt over there, for moving trees, working with a resident in Parma. I got a really nice thank you email, but the email should have gone to you. Hopefully you got a copy. If not, I'll share with it after the board meeting's over. But thank you for doing some good work.
Okay. Anything else under open? Public session, has anybody requested to address the board?
They have not, Mr. Sulik.
Okay. We have nothing for executive session today?
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Mayor Bocci, seconded by Ms. Dumas. We are adjourned.